Have you ever found yourself where you had to reattach two wires? Maybe they got broken a door, pulled apart. You have two options that you're looking at. You can either do the crimp-on style or you can solder. Today we're going to discuss the solder side of it. So come on along and I'll show you how to solder a joint. Today we're going to make a quick little video on how to solder wires together. There's two different joints that you typically will use, and I'll show you each of them. We'll pull the camera in close so you get a bird's eye view on it. But to begin with, some of the things that you're going to need before you can start soldering anything is one, a soldering iron. Yes, it's turned on. I bought this one. It's a cheap little one, but it has a real fine point on it, so it works great for little wires and everything. I gave $4 for this at Menards, so you don't need a lot of equipment, and it did come with like a little kickstand, but I got a little nicer one here. You will need some kind of sponge. Really any kind of wet sponge will work. You just need to clean off the oxidation off the tip. Another thing that you're going to need is, of course, is a wire, or you might be splicing a wire in a harness or something, but then you won't need one. But you will definitely need strippers and cutters and solder. The solder we're using today is a 40-60 mixture. You can buy it any hardware store, Menards, Rural King, wherever. A lot of places sell solder. You can even buy it on Amazon. And we also need to have some flux. Now I have a little cap of liquid flux here. You can use the paste. They both work just as well. The liquid's what I have right now, so that's what we'll use. So let me pull the camera closer and we'll get started right now. So the first thing that we're going to do, we need to prep the wires so we can solder them. What we'll end up doing is, this is an 18 gauge wire. Not for sure if you can see. We'll locate the 18 gauge, which is the second from the bottom, and we'll take off well, this one. For this joint we're going to do about 3/4 of an inch. Rotate the wire, slide it off. It's about the same thing here, 3/4 of an inch. Squeeze it, twist it, slide the wire off. So now we have two wires that are the same size. What we'll do is we'll twist these together. All these strands in this bundle. We'll twist all these strands together in this bundle, so we end up with this. Now that you have both of these twisted, we're going to need to get some heat shrink on here. So you lay that down. You'll go maybe 1/4 inch on both sides. Hold on. So once this is all soldered together, the heat shrink will go over it and it'll protect it from the elements. Since this is just flying leads on both sides, I don't have to put it on right now, but it's just always a good practice before you turn it or start twisting the wires together to put it on. That way you don't forget it when you're in a harness or something like that. So what we're going to do, you're going to come down about 1/4 of an inch off the insulation here, put that right up next to that. I don't know how well you can see it, but we're going to twist that. We'll twist it all the way around. You'll have that, and then we'll twist this back onto itself. And you'll end up with a joint like that. So we'll take that. Use these little gator clips, but you can use anything. When you solder this, what you're going to do is you're going to put the soldering iron under the wire, and you're going to put your solder on the top side. Heat will rise, so what you're trying to do is you're trying to heat that wire all the way up, and when it gets to the top, when the solder gets to the melting point, it'll actually wick itself through all the wires, and it'll happen almost instantaneously once it reaches its temperature. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to add a little flux to this, and the flux is actually a cleaning agent, so that's why you want to always use flux. So we'll clean the iron off using the sponge. While you do that, as you can see, it's nice and shiny now. As it heats up, as the solder heats, it oxidizes. So when you wipe it off, that gets it back down to nice clean, and we'll go back through and we'll just gently touch it with solder. That's called tinning the iron. What that also does is when you put this up underneath here, it bridges the iron to the wire, and it helps the heat transfer a lot faster too. So we'll go through. Like I said, this is a small iron, but you can see how it just starts to slide. Give it just a couple seconds to cool. And there we go. Nice solid wire. Can't break it. And then what you're going to do, well, you got your hot iron right there. You're going to slide this right over it. You can use a lighter or whatever, but since I have the iron right here, you just run right along underneath it. And the heat will actually shrink that. Now this shrink wrap that I'm using is a 2-to-1. So if it's a 1/4 inch tube, when it gets fully shrunk, it'll be 1/8 inch. And there you go, a sealed joint. So the next joint that I'm going to show you, this one, typically if you're working on a harness inside your car or something, this is the one you're probably going to use the most of, because what will happen is a lot of times the wire, like if it's in a door or something like that, it'll break. You don't have the luxury of going sort of 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch and then putting it together and twisting it and everything like that. A lot of times you don't have that luxury. So that's the joint we're going to show you now on how to do that one. So basically just going to go through, and about 1/4 of an inch is about all we're going to get on this one. Same with this one, 1/4 of an inch. And what you do is you go through and just open these wires up a little bit until they look about like that. I don't know if you can see that, how well it's focusing. And then what you do is put that together. Then you go through and just try to twist it together the best you can. And you have a joint that looks a lot like that. It's a fragile joint, but once we get done soldering it, it will not be fragile. So we'll put a little bit of flux on this. Clean our iron back off. Just drop a little solder on that. Come up underneath, hold it. And there you go. A nice strong joint that's not going to come apart. You go through, put some sleeving over that, it'll be good as new. So thank you guys for watching this. Hope you have enjoyed it. Talk to you later. Bye.